Set your phone on Romanian. Welcome to another video about the getting familiar with Romanian topic, week, month. Today I have this huge. I started with this huge advice for you guys. Set your phone to Romanian because yes, that's the first way you'll get to read Romanian. If you feel uncomfortable about it, if you feel like, oh my god, what I'm gonna do if somebody calls and whatnot, well, that is a good first step, regardless, and you will get comfortable with it because things will be at the same place at the same time, and you'll get used to it. So we're talking about reading today, and as always, we're gonna give some tips, tools, tricks, resources. And I think we'll start today with this idea of, we left off last time the vocabulary part with basically doing it regularly and doing spaced repetition and whatnot. Well, we're going to continue with it today because reading regularly helps a lot. I remember when I was learning Spanish and I was doing a lot of, I was trying different ways to get it into my my habit when I was in the pandemic, and basically I was stuck in Romania. I bought a book, and I remember, oh my god, it was really difficult. It was really difficult. It was to the point where I was spending probably 20 minutes per page, but I had my dictionary next to me with a pen and a notebook, and that's what I did. I spent 20 minutes on a page every day, maybe sometimes if I was lucky 2 pages a day, and that's how it went until I finished the book. So it's obviously if you have more than 20 minutes you can spend more than that, but that was what I used to do back then, and oh my god, that really helped me. And I can see the improvement. It's huge. When you start finishing books, that's when you know you're getting more and more advanced in a language. You also can try to read stuff aloud, because that can help you obviously with many other things, like even remembering vocabulary with pronunciation. It can help you remembering words, and it can fasten, on the long term it can make the process of reading quicker, although that is not really the point when you begin. If you start reading in another language quickly, that you're doing it wrong. You should read as slow as possible and learn everything that's new, because you will find a lot of new words, a lot of new sentence structure, even punctuation. Everything regarding reading can be quite crazy. And before we start showing some of the tools, please don't forget, you find the links in the description and in the pinned comment. You get a also the live Q&A session at the end of all this journey at the end of the month, here on day 30. And please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because that really helps Romanian Academy. That being said, I think the idea of reading everything you can in that language, starting with your phone and ending up with books, is paramount for your journey. And we're gonna start with a very easy resource. It's easyreaders.ro. It's this website here. It's good for a few different things, including the I think the guy only does the podcast at the moment. Maybe he stopped even doing that. But under beginner, intermediate, or advanced, he has some texts as such. There are sometimes even played audio, like they have the audio, and it's quite a good place to begin with. There are not many, but it's a good place to start. And starting very slowly is very important, and then gradually increasing the difficulty is also really important. And with these kind of texts, as I said earlier in my little story, being with the dictionary next to you, writing the words, translating the words is really helpful. If you remember last time I talked in the vocabulary video about a word journaling system, so you can go ahead and see how that can be implemented. That's how I did basically with my book for Spanish. I had it split into 3. But anyways, and then another really interesting thing to challenge a bit yourself if you want to go a bit to the next level is finding the meaning of the word depending on the context and the context alone. For example, here it's talking about the 1st of April. And it says the day of something, but I don't really know what this means. So, since also the picture of the dog is suggestive, I suppose, so 1st of April in English, it's the Fool's Day, right? So I assume the păcălelilor is fools. Now, to confirm that, you see here, it's a joke, yeah? So fool, that's what păcăleală means. So doing things like this, basically checking checking a word in its context and trying to translate it based on its context alone, can really help a different side of reading, not just a one-to-one translation, but more of an intuition side, I suppose. Now, moving on to what was my own first book in Spanish. It was The Little Prince, one book that I suggest anybody who begins learning a new language read. The Little Prince is a great A1, A2 level book. The text is not very difficult. It also might be slightly limited, but it has such a wide variety of words that I think it's great. And also the verbal tenses, I remember, they are spot on. They cover a whole range of beginner tenses and moods. So grammatically speaking, vocabulary speaking, is a great tool. You can find it anywhere you would like. And if you start with The Little Prince, then you can go on and find more books that you might be even more familiar. Maybe you read The Little Prince when you were 6 or 7 or 8, so maybe you forgot about it. But maybe you read other books when you were a bit older, such as possibly the Harry Potter series. And that, when you know the context and you read something that you have read already but in a different language, things will start clicking even sooner. So, for example, Harry Potter și Piatra Filosofală is one example for the next book. It can be also, I don't know, Game of Thrones. It can be Lord of the Rings. It can be anything that you might even have watched the movie. That could also be useful. The Hobbit. I don't know, anything really. Hunger Games. So there's a lot of different books like that I would recommend starting with. Some of the most popular, some of the ones that, as I said, that have movies that are very popular that can really help you with the context. With Harry Potter specifically, there is a lot of specific vocabulary, and some of them, some of the words in Harry Potter, I remember in Romanian, there are words translated in a very strange way to a Romanian word that basically doesn't exist and was invented only for Harry Potter. So bear that in mind as well, and double check your words with the dictionary. If books are a bit too much at the moment and you still want to stay low, news can be a very good tip. Basically, news use the most formal and straightforward language, and the ones that are not very specific, or the ones that are actually very specific to your own preferences and areas of life. Like, for example, here we have a tourism/traveling article. This can be a good way to start. and practice the different contexts, I guess. And also, since they are quite short, generally, maybe not. Oh yeah, this one as well. But since they are quite short, you know, you can imagine one of those articles being like that one page of The Little Prince if you get too bored with only one book. So you can do this as well, and obviously write the vocabulary. Speed is not that important with reading, especially at the beginning, but you know, it still counts. In addition, if you want to test a bit your knowledge and you want a bit of help, extra help, both with reading and vocabulary, you can go on our Patreon and find the the collection reading and vocabulary. There's quite a good bunch of vocabulary and reading there for A1, A2, B1, and there's even one B2 activity. This kind of stuff is specifically targeted to test your knowledge. So basically with reading, you can have a text and then see if you understood what the text says, not just a word, but a whole paragraph, for instance, by asking questions. Something that is very common in tests for any language, really. And this is something you can do even with like ChatGPT or any AI platform. Put a text in there and ask it to ask you basically with multiple choice answers, a series of questions. So say you have this article here, copy paste this, put it in ChatGPT, and tell it, I want 5 questions to understand, to help me understand the text. Give me also multiple choice answers for each and every single one of them. But also give, you might ask ChatGPT to give them in a random order, because you don't want to have A all the time. So if you want specifically picked readings with specifically tailored questions and answered, and vocabulary as well for that activity, you can go on Patreon. The link is in the description, and do a bit more of reading and vocabulary. We release, by the way, this one of those every month, so you can join Boss tier, where you have a free trial for a whole week, and you can see everything that is on Patreon. Now, I suppose only last thing that I would add here, the last thing. I don't know what's happening with my English recently, but I need to have a look at that, have it checked. So the last thing I want to talk about today is the special tip for reading. The special tip for reading is something that really, really interesting student told me once, and that is basically that reading 20 books in any language will basically make you fluent. And I cannot agree more. I don't have 20 books in Spanish. I think I have more than 20 books in English. But actually, I'm wondering if I have 20 books in Romanian. And I don't know if you heard that, but there was somebody drifting outside. Very interesting. Anyways, I'll let you off. Tick the box with this, and start reading books. Right? That's the main takeaway from today. Start reading books and use. You'll see, by the way, last thing here, you'll see a lot of these skills are intertwined, like vocabulary and reading, definitely very, very connected, and also with writing. I'll see you tomorrow with writing, and until then, la revedere.